Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Been a busy day today, and I've had some lovely weather to be busy. Mid 70s. This is crazy. Towards the end of July, and I'm not complaining. Beautiful skies today. Nice, natural-looking clouds. You know, that kind of stuff. Been doing a lot of outside work because, I mean, why not? You know, it's to the mid 70s, for crying out loud. Feels like spring all over again. I know I said it, I think this morning or yesterday evening or something, but not that this is not what the video's about. Don't worry. I'm kind of getting bored of the whole political campaign. It disgusts me. But anyways, there's been back and forth about whether or not Joe Biden is going to drop out of the race or not. And it's looked like it was going to happen, and it probably still is. Maybe it still is. But the news is reporting that Jill Biden, you know, Dr. Biden, there we go, Dr. Biden, has apparently convinced the Democratic Party that Joe is going to stay in the race, and that he will be the nominee, and that he will be reelected as president. And so I guess he's back on. I don't know. It's been back and forth. It's crazy. But I haven't paid a lot of close attention to it. So by the time you watch this video, who knows what's happened? He may have dropped out of the race by then. Honestly, as much as some of you really don't like me to say this, I don't care. I honestly don't care who's in the presidency, because it doesn't matter. We're not going to change anything at that level. It doesn't. And you can be upset with me all you want. I'm not telling you not to vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm just telling you that party politics, especially at that level, is so corrupt, and it's probably just not going to change anything. And I think it's just a popularity show. Whoever's your guy that speaks to you the most is who gets voted for. That being said, though, if we want to make change, if we want to see things better, even if they're not going to be better on a broad scale, well, we got to do things at the local level. And when I say local level, I'm not even talking about local politics. I'm talking about right here. We have to change first. That's been the problem for such a long time, is that we as individuals, we want to see other things improve. You know, we want to improve the local school system, but we don't want to improve how we raise and teach our own children. We want to see our local church improve and do better, but we don't consecrate our own hearts and improve ourselves in our own spiritual walk. We want to see the local government do more for the people, but yet we don't do more for the people. So if we want to see change, the first place that we need to start working on change is to change ourselves. We need to change ourselves and improve ourselves. Improve ourselves in the three ways that I say every day on this channel: mentally, physically, and spiritually. We need to improve ourselves, improve our families, strengthen our families, get our families up off the couch, get our families the relationship, the connection, the love in our families better. And then we take that to the streets, so to speak. And we do that with our neighbors, the people around us. And eventually, we might actually see some change happen. I don't know where exactly it happened. I haven't done enough thinking and to pinpoint a point in history. But at some point, Americans, even conservative Christian Americans, have given up on this idea that the people around you, your local area, are worth anything. I talk about community all the time, not just in a prepper community type of sense, but just the actual community around you, of how we have to put, you know, that kind of blood, sweat, and tears, that emotional equity into our community to build it up strong, so that when things get bad, whether it's just an economical depression or collapse or you know, whatever it is, pandemic, grid down, that the people in your area, they will stick together more. They will work with each other more. And every time I talk about that, I just so many people in the comments, oh, I'm a loner. I don't trust people. People are bad. I don't have nothing to do with my neighbors. I don't know, all this kind of stuff. Where did this concept come from? Because at one point in our history, and I'm not talking centuries ago either, a generation or two ago, that was the norm. It was the norm that you knew the people around you, that you had at least a decent friendship with the people around you, and you came to their aid and they came to yours. This idea of this mutual assistance group, a MAG, where there's people that make a commitment to come to each other's aid. That used to just be normal. That was just normal. Out here where I live at one point in time, if you needed something done, your neighbors just came over and helped. That was just normal. And so we went from that being the norm to that being this radical, extreme idea that even conservative Christians don't want to have anything to do with that. And I understand we've lost faith in our fellow man. And people have done that because they see all the evilness in humanity anymore. But we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are still good people out there, and they may not be everywhere. And if you live in an area where you say there just aren't any good people around here, then you need to leave. You should move out. Go find some place where there's still at least a decent amount of decent people. And call that place your home. If you live in an area where no one can be trusted and everyone's evil and everyone is so filled with hate and sin and into all the modern, agendas and wokeness, then don't live there. Move. People do it every day. They leave. And they go find places where it's still kind of the old America we once knew. And when you find those places, it's part, I hate to sound so clichéic, but it's kind of the Christian thing to do, right? To be a servant, to be, sacrifice yourself and to go out and help others, meet people, know your neighbors, and help your neighbors, volunteer at the local whatever that's in your community. If we put the work into fixing ourselves, fixing our homes, which is a big thing right now. So many homes in America they're just broken. But if we fix ourselves, fix our homes, and then take that and start working in our local community, and I'm not even talking about politics. I'm not even talking about getting the right people elected. I mean, if that's your thing, or if that's what happens, that's fine. But even that, a lot of people, we need to get the right guy elected. Get a good sheriff, get a good county commissioner, get a good city council, school board. Nothing wrong with that. But the problem with that being your first thought is that people think that's all they need to do. Well, we'll just elect good people, and then we'll have great rulers. And then whenever we run to the government and beg for help, at least we'll have good people running it. You need to work on your neighbors in your community in a way that their first thought isn't to run to the government for help, even if it's the local government run by good guys. If there's a local church, maybe you don't even go to that church. Maybe you're not that denomination. You don't necessarily align with them, but they're doing some good charitable thing. Go volunteer. If there's some kind of, local little community bingo night, why don't you go there and meet people? If there's some kind of little community festival, participate in it. Go there, meet people. If there's some kind of clothing or food drive for impoverished people, or if there's some kind of thing to help out, a family that lost their home in a storm, get out there and help. And if there's not those things happening, then do those things. Start those things. And this again used to be the norm. This is all over America. Not just out here in the sticks where I live. Even in neighborhoods, I've read, I've never been there. I have no interest in being there. And I'm talking about New York City. But at one point in time, over the last 100 years or so, even as big as New York City was, it was known that the little neighborhoods, they kind of stuck together, and they almost didn't consider themselves as, oh, well, I'm from New York City. You were from that neighborhood. And the people in that neighborhood, they came together and they helped people out. Because this concept that I speak of was across the board everywhere, the norm. It was the norm. And at some point in time, we walked away from that as Americans and as a society. And I think that that has contributed greatly to our demise, because we no longer care about what goes on in our area, as long as that we're okay. And we've put all of our focus on, well, who's the president or who's Congress, or that the government will come help us. You know, a tornado comes through and does all this damage. Well, we'll get FEMA in there, and the state will come in and they'll clean it up and they'll help people. Where's all the local people coming in and helping? You know, some guy in your neighborhood, you know, he becomes ill and he can't work for a while. Well, at least they need to go get some food stamps and some welfare to take care of him. What happened to the local people just coming in, saying, hey, we're going to do your chores for you. We'll mow your yard. Here's some groceries. Here's some food. I can remember as a child growing up in a small community, we did that all the time. My mother was always fixing a meal and taking it to someone's house because they were ill, or someone died, or there was a baby born, or there was, you know, there's always something like, well, we'll go over there and we'll make sure that they've got food for a while so they don't have to cook anything. Or we'd go over and we'd, you know, I can remember as a young boy, you know, going over and mowing someone's yard, cleaning their gutters, doing things like that. Not necessarily to get paid, just doing it because they needed it. We need to revitalize that. If we put as much energy, if conservatives, and I know I don't speak to all or speak for all conservatives, but if true conservatives put the amount of energy, effort, and money into revitalizing our local communities in the way that I speak of, not through government, but through our own work, if we put the same amount of energy and money into that as the conservatives have done for the Republican Party and the Republican leadership and whoever's running for office, this nation would be changed. I've said it for years. If you just took the presidential campaigns alone, if you took, in the end, how much money will be raised for Trump and Biden, and if you combined that amount and you put that towards actually making real impact into America's communities, I'd almost bet you that it would do more positive change in this country. Now, I understand you're like, well, you know, who's going to direct that? That's not, I don't want to get into weeds with that. The point is that we as a nation have gotten to the point that our immediate default when it comes to tragedy, when it comes to people in need, is some big organization or some big government helping them instead of us helping them. It's kind of like schools. You know, the reason why children are growing up and having poor behavior and poor education and all these radical left ideas is because parents gave over the responsibility for raising and educating their children to the public schools. And the schools knew that. And they're like, well, then we're going to teach them our way. And we've done that with government. The reason why the welfare system is so big, the reason why debt is so high, all these things, the reason why the government just goes out there and does whatever it wants and spends and creates money is because we as Americans have figured out that, well, if I just let the government handle all of this stuff instead of me doing the work, then I can live this luxurious, comfortable life. Compared to the rest of the world, that's true. Even if you are poor, you're still way better off than most of the world. And so we've become lazy. We're no longer out there making sure that the people in our community are taken care of. We just figure, well, I'm paying my taxes and the government can do that, right? We have to stop that. If we want to see positive change, if we want to see a revival and a revolution, it's never, ever, ever going to come from a president. It's never going to come from some national leader. It's never going to come from some big preacher or anything like that. In fact, change is not going to come from any one person ever anyways, especially not on a big, broad scale level as the federal government. Real change is going to happen in your heart, and then it'll happen in your family, and then it'll happen in your neighborhood, and then your community. And if we start thinking that way, and we start putting that effort into it, investing in the areas that we live in, and if you live in a really horrible area not worth investing in, then move to a place that it is, you will start to see things turn around. And then when things do fall apart, when things do collapse, there'll be a whole lot more people around you that's ready. And even though they may not have all the cool preps and everything, they understand that the value in the community that they live in is worth saving. It's worth putting the work into. It's worth coming together. And in the end, that's really one of the best ways to really prepare and to change things. So you can't be lazy. It takes work. It takes sacrifice. But if we do those things, we can actually turn at least the little areas that we live in around. We can't save the world. We can't fix this nation. As far as I'm concerned, the government and everything else is going down the toilet pretty fast. And I don't think anything's going to change that. But we can make positive change right around us. We can shine the light of Jesus Christ right in our area. We can go out there and show love and kindness and be a servant just like he was. And then we'll see real change happen. Folks, it's time to get our houses in order and to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.